You don't need more motivation. You need to stop telling the world a story where you're the one who loses. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that life was happening to you, that the world was against you, that fate picked you last. And every time something went wrong, you added another chapter to this internal story about why you can't win. But here's the truth nobody told you. The story you repeat becomes the identity you live out. If you keep telling yourself you're powerless, you'll act powerless. If you keep saying you're unlucky, you'll stop even looking for opportunities. If you keep blaming everything around you, you'll never look at the one thing you can actually control: you. And the problem isn't that life is unfair. It's that you've been convinced that being the victim protects you, that it cushions the fall, that if you admit you could have done more, you'll have to face the weight of your own potential. But that's exactly where your power begins, in facing the part of your life that you keep avoiding. People don't stay stuck because they're incapable. They stay stuck because being the victim is familiar. It's predictable. It gives you a script to follow. I feel like this because of them. I'm behind because of that. I'd be further if life didn't keep hitting me. But the moment you stop assigning blame, everything shifts. Your life stops being a reaction and becomes a creation. You stop being a passenger and become the driver. You stop narrating your limitations and start narrating your decisions. This isn't about denying what hurt you. It's about refusing to let it define you. The world doesn't owe you fairness. People don't owe you understanding. Life doesn't owe you ease. But you owe yourself transformation. And that only starts when you stop using your past as permission to stay the same. You are not weak. You're not broken. You're not cursed. You're someone who hasn't stepped fully into ownership yet. That's the shift that changes everything. Because once you stop identifying as the victim, the world loses its power over you. You stop waiting. You stop wishing. You stop hoping something external rescues you. Instead, you take the pen back. You rewrite the script. You reclaim your direction. And when you do that, you'll notice something. The obstacles didn't disappear. You just became stronger than them. The setbacks didn't stop. You stopped folding. The old patterns didn't vanish. You finally grew past them. Taking your power back doesn't start with confidence. It starts with accountability. It starts with honesty. It starts with dropping the old story and building a new one. One where you're the one who rises, the one who adapts, the one who decides. Because the moment you stop playing the victim, you stop being one. This is the beginning. Part 2 goes deeper, into the internal conflict that keeps you stuck and the shift that breaks it. If you feel stuck, it's not because life trapped you. It's because you're fighting battles inside yourself that you refuse to face. Everyone sees the external problems, the stress, the frustration, the lack of momentum, but almost nobody looks at the internal war that creates it. Because the real fight isn't with the world. It's with the part of you that clings to who you used to be. The part that's terrified of responsibility. The part that wants growth without sacrifice, change without discomfort, and progress without accountability. That inner conflict is why you feel torn. One side of you wants a better life. The other side wants to stay comfortable. And every time you move forward, your old identity pulls you back. Not because it hates you, but because it knows surviving better than it knows succeeding. Your old self feeds on excuses. It thrives on blame. It survives on narratives that keep you small, predictable, and familiar. Because as long as you're the victim, you never have to face who you could have become. You never have to risk failure. You never have to risk responsibility. But the cost of that comfort is your entire future. Growth isn't about becoming someone new. It's about letting go of the story that keeps you acting like someone you're not. Emotional responsibility isn't weakness. It's power. It's the ability to say, my reaction is mine. My choices are mine. My direction is mine. And once you start thinking that way, blame loses its grip. Your past loses its grip. Your old identity loses its grip. You start noticing which habits are killing your momentum. You start seeing which beliefs are keeping you small. You start realizing that your life is not a prison, it's a mirror. And that mirror reflects everything you've avoided. The discipline you didn't build. The boundaries you never set. The emotional control you never practiced. The courage you haven't stepped into. But here's the breakthrough. Once you're willing to look at it, you're already ahead of most people. Most people stay stuck because they don't want to confront themselves. You're doing that right now. And that means change has already begun. Because once you take ownership of your internal world, your external world has no choice but to change. When you control your reactions, you control your direction. When you control your direction, you control your life. And when you control your life, you stop living by excuses and start living by intention. You are not the victim of your emotions. You are not the prisoner of your past. You are not the product of everything that went wrong. You're the one who decides what happens next. And part 3 is where you take that decision and make it your new identity. Your life won't change the day you feel ready. It changes the day you decide you're done living small. You've blamed the past long enough. You've carried the old stories long enough. You've lived as if life was something happening outside of you, instead of something you're shaping every day. But this is where the shift happens. This is where you drop the narrative that kept you powerless and step into the one that puts the responsibility and the power back in your hands. Because the truth is simple. You can't be powerful and be the victim at the same time. You have to choose. And the moment you choose power, everything around you begins to realign. Your standards rise. Your boundaries strengthen. Your confidence rebuilds. Your actions sharpen. You stop negotiating with your potential and start walking toward it. Taking your power back doesn't require perfection. It requires direction. It requires intention. It requires the willingness to stop accepting the bare minimum from yourself. Because your future is not built on comfort. It's built on decisions. Hard ones, consistent ones. Ones that force you to grow in ways your old identity would never allow. Power isn't something you stumble into. It's something you build. Every time you show up when it's easier to quit. Every time you choose discipline over distraction. Every time you take ownership instead of pointing fingers. Every time you decide that the person you want to be matters more than the person you used to be. That is how you take your power back. You break the cycle by refusing to participate in it. You break the excuses by outgrowing them. You break the limitations by refusing to feed them. And the biggest turning point, when you finally understand that your life changes the moment you change how you see yourself. Not as the one who was hurt, not as the one who was overlooked, not as the one who was held back, but as the one who rises anyway. Your power comes from the identity you choose, not the one that was handed to you, not the one that was shaped by pain, not the one you outgrew, but the one you're building now, the one built on ownership, responsibility, strength, and conviction. You are not the victim, not anymore, not when you've made it this far, not when you're choosing growth over comfort, not when you're rewriting your entire life story from the inside out. This is your turning point. This is your reset. This is where the old version of you ends and the powerful version begins. Take your power back. Control your emotions. Control your reactions. Control your story. Because when you do that, there is nothing left in your life that can control you. If this reached you today, like and subscribe for more.